Okay, so here we are, week 2, lesson 1. What I want to start out with is I wanted to alert all of you that next week, now I don't know whether it's Monday or Tuesday yet. I believe that it's going to be Monday. I'm not 100% sure of that, but I guarantee you by the end of the day tomorrow, I will update you as to the definite day. What's going to happen next week is I have a pretty important meeting I have to attend within the time frame, and I can't really put it off. So what I'm going to be doing is if it's Monday or Tuesday, instead of 5 to 7 Mountain Time, it'll be 1 to 3 Mountain Time. And it will, I believe, just be the one day. And again, as I said, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure whether it's going to be Monday or Tuesday yet, but I will let you know. I'll send emails to everybody just as soon as I know. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we are going to continue working in Illustrator and learning more about this application. We have 3 things that we will actually be working through Illustrator in, and that will be our discussion, our assignment, and our assessment. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to start by talking to the discussion, assignment, and assessment. I wanted to talk through the discussion a little bit, and I'm going to demonstrate how I went about doing these scenes and explain a little bit about what I chose to do at mine, demonstrate it, and offer the same thing to you. So what we will be doing for this discussion is we will be illustrating 4 scenes that express some sort of unique emotions or some kind of an environment. And you will be using only the basic shapes: circles, lines, squares, triangles. In other words, your basic shape tools, the shape tools. It also will allow you to work with your pen tool and different things, shapes in the pen tool. There's also abstract shapes, which I'll show you. I'll try to show you later on. So really, you're working with lines, circles, squares, triangles, which are your basic shapes. And then, of course, you can work with your pen tool. And from what I'm understanding myself, you could probably use shapes as well, which I'll show you. In each scene, you must have a main character who is a blue circle, but otherwise the compositional choices are up to you. So really your central character has to be a blue circle. More about that in a minute. There's a video that they want you to watch illustrating how you feel, to give some light of how to approach understanding this subject. There's your link to it. I'm not going to run it for you because you can watch that at your own. Use Illustrator to complete this assignment. Well, that stands to reason. This is an Illustrator course. Put all 4 of your illustrations on a single page. Now, I created mine. There's 5 of them. Or is there 4? No, I'm sorry, there's 4 of them. I actually created 5. There's 4 of them, and I created them on 4 separate artboards. So you could do that if you want, but in the end, what they would like you to do is, if you do it on 4 or 5 different artboards like I did, you're going to scale them down so that in the end they fit on 1 artboard, which is 8.5 by 11. I hope you guys know how to create artboards. If I'll try to remember to show you that too. I don't know really what you guys know. That's my biggest problem. I'm not sure what you know, and I haven't any way to discover that because nobody's in the class that I can speak to them. Then after you do this, you're going to write a sentence or 2 about each of your illustrations and explain how you are showing the emotion or setting the scene. And then what they've provided you with are some examples down here. Now, scene 1 is scared or fear. Scene 2 is comfort or safety. Alone, isolation, and exploration and open spaces. You know, to be frank with you, I'm not sure how that suggests comfy safety to me. And I guess I can sort of get with the open spaces because there's these repeated elements creating this space for this object. Isolation, that one's easy. There's nothing else on the page. How can you go wrong? Scared fear, maybe. The reason it maybe does is because these objects all point at this object. So, you know, again, that would be my take on how these things work. This, I'm not comfy safety. I don't know how. You got 3 rocks over here, and you got this over here. You got this large background shape back there. Frankly, I'm having a very hard time understanding that to mean comfy and safety, you know. But then, of course, I'm not the brightest bulb in the midway either, so, you know. But so this one maybe works okay. This one works okay, obviously. And this one here, yeah. If they, I mean, the bottom line is they have what they are here. So they sort of tip their hand with this. You don't really have to figure out what they're trying to do. But here are mine. This week, we will work on some, I'm not going to read this because this is a discussion, and I've put this in here for you. These are my samples. Now, what I would like you to do is, and again, actually, I'm going to tip my hand on this too, because after we get done, I'm going to take you in and show you how I did this. So once I show you that, then you're going to know what they mean. So there will be no reason for you to answer the question of what do you think. What you could say is, you could tell me in your own words whether you think mine work or not. How's that? That makes sense. Tell me if you remember what they stood for, and tell me whether you believe that they work. That I'd be interested in hearing, okay? So I've got that one, that one, that one, that one. I did actually 5, okay? Let me know what each of you think of my, what each one of my mood designs stand for. Let me know what you think, or if you think they work, because you're going to know what they stand for. Do they work? That's the key. All right? Then the next thing, I have another one in here where I'm showing you my tiger, which I'm going to be working on tonight. And the tiger relates to our assignment. And I also have these 2 characters down here. One of them is the Witch of the West from The Wizard of Oz, which I rendered in Adobe Illustrator. Now, this is far beyond what you guys have to do. I mean, you don't have to go to the, I don't believe you have to go to the extent of coloring this. I think yours is all in black and white. But if that's the case, which is all right, let me show you here. I got the Tin Woodsman, and the Tin Woodsman is completely in black and white. And these are all done with gradients. This one right here, realistically, and again, I'm your professor. I've got a great deal of experience with this. I've done this for a very long time. You know, you guys just don't have the experience that I have yet, but you will have someday. This is the kind of thing that I would produce if I was asked to do this assignment. Because again, you know, I did it with basic shapes or with the pen tool, and I used gradients on the whole thing to develop the overall look of my character. I'll show you more about these guys later on, and tomorrow night. I'll be working on the tiger a little bit more tomorrow night. Tonight, what I want to start off with, though, is I want to come back to these guys right here. The feeling I get from this is that they kind of want you to keep this rather simple, but I have a problem with that. We're an Adobe Illustrator advanced course. And I don't think in an advanced course we should just be working with basic shapes. I think we need to take this and we need to move it up to a higher level. So that's why if you take a look at what's here, you'll see mine are significantly different than what's down there. Okay? And I'm using things down here that they're not using up here. These are just basic shapes. I mean, they drew a circle. They drew a triangle. They distorted the triangle and pointed it at this. They created a free-form shape for the background. They created a few blobs of color, black, and then the circle, which was just repeated from the other. This is just a circle. See, I mean, this is just too simple. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not gonna fault you if you do this simple thing, but I just want you to keep in mind that we are in an Adobe Illustrator advanced class, and I'm more concerned about you learning things than what you submit to me. I want you to submit to me enough to pass the course. But what I'm really interested in is me showing you things that you get excited about and use. That's what I hope will happen. So again, that's what my goal is here. Not just to, not just to show you the simple stuff, but mine is to try to get you to understand some of the things that you can do with this program beyond just creating basic shapes. That's basically what I'm going to be dealing with the first part of our lecture tonight. Okay? And now I'm going to go into Adobe Illustrator. And this is a submission from Kimberly. Is that right? Let me just do this for a second. Let me go up here. Let's go to this. It's week 2. Kimberly. Geez, Kimberly, I guess it is. I hate to say the name wrong. It's so embarrassing. I believe it's Kimberly. Okay, so this is Kimberly's, her week 1 assignment. And this is the object that she is. Let me just lock this object. Lock. Selection. Yeah, object lock. Selection. There we go. Okay, so this is the object that she's illustrating. She didn't do a bad job with it. I mean, there's some things that could be a little bit better, and I told her that. And I said to her that what I would do is I would play around with it tonight in Adobe Illustrator and show her how she could easily improve a few things. All right. So that's what I'm going to do first. And this is for all of you. Okay. Because again, I'm going to be using techniques that obviously Kimberly doesn't know. And maybe you don't know either. I don't know. I'm going to do it. I'm going to set this up and I'm going to show you, and we'll see if it's something that you can learn. Hopefully it will be. I know it will be for Kimberly. And again, that's what this is all about, is learning things when you do work, learning things when you don't. Okay, so let's start off by, first of all, let's bring out our direct selection tool and our group selection tool. Well, a regular selection tool cannot come out because there's only one regular selection tool, okay? The direct selection tool is nested with the group selection tool. You can tell that by that little triangle in the lower right-hand corner. And everywhere you see one of those, like right there, like right there, like right there, there are additional tools. Now, this is the pen tool. We're going to be using this. So what I want to do is I want to go across here to the end where there's that little tear off. And I want to let go. And I've now brought those tools out. And I can sit them right up here. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to click on this. I'm holding the mouse. I'm going to slide across until I hit the tear out. And I'm going to bring those guys out. And I'm going to put them right there. So now I have my regular selection tool up here. And I have my direct selection tool. And what does my direct selection tool do? My direct selection tool will allow me to select an object. Now, I'm not sure how well you can see this, but each one of these little keyframes, these little anchor points, these little anchor points are open. So if I want, I can use the direct selection tool to click on just one of them. And now that one is selected, okay? That's what that does. Now, this object is ungrouped. See, if I click on this, not all the objects select, only part of the object select. So it is not a grouped object. So I really can't. If I wanted to, I could group all of this and I could show you how to do this, but I'm not going to do this now because I want to work on this and I want to show you something. Okay, so the problem I have with this is I can live with her rendering of this, although that corner is a little sloppy. I'm going to show you how to fix that. And this thing here, although it has a decent angle on it, these objects don't follow the same angle, all right? So what I want to do is I want to do a couple of things that will make this look a little bit better. I want to fix that corner up there and show you how I would do it. And I want to rebuild this area right here so that it looks a little bit better, okay? And I want to show you how to do that right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by getting my basic shape, which is my rectangle in this case. I'm going to make sure that I have a stroke of black on it, all right? And I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to drag to create a rectangle about the size like that. All right? And then I'm going to bring it down here. This is going to end up replacing this when I get done with it. So let's take a look at this and let's see what's going on with this. In the first place, this thing is one whole piece right around there. See it? One great big piece. Well, that's not what I want. What I want to do is I want to get rid of this thing. Now this is a separate little line. It's actually, that's also connected to this. So I need to get rid of a couple of things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by using the delete anchor point tool, and I'm going to click on that to delete that anchor point. Then I'm going to click on this. Come on. To delete that anchor point. Then I'm going to click on this to delete that anchor point. Okay, so that section's gone. Now let's take a look at this again. See, so this object goes all the way around with this object, and that's not what I want. I want these guys. I want this to be separate, and I want this to be separate. Okay, so what I'm going to do is instead of deleting anchor points, which I might be able to do, but it's risky. Actually, let me try it and see. Let me try it and see what happens with the delete anchor point tool. Click on this guy here. Let's start with that little one right there. And let's go with that one there. And let's go with that one there. Yeah, yes and no. I mean, it's kind of not what I want. Let's see what happens if I delete that. Yeah, see, no good. Control Z. Control Z. Yeah. Edit, undo. Edit, undo. So this is not the way I want to go. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. All right, instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to get the scissors tool. And what the scissors tool allows me to do is it allows me to disconnect anchor points. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try clicking right here, and that broke that anchor point into two sections. I'm also going to do the same thing here. I'm going to come down with the same tool, the scissors tool, and I'm going to click right there. And now watch what happens. Let's see if this works out. Click on this. There you go. Can you see that? Instead of that whole thing selecting, just that one little area selected, and I'm going to hit delete. All right? Now, the reason I'm doing this is because if I go edit undo, this thing has a nice angle on it. It's not a bad angle. It's actually pretty accurate. The problem is these objects in here don't follow that angle. So I'm going to rebuild this thing so that it looks a little bit more real and the things work together, okay? So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to create one of these shapes. I could actually do this. I could actually drag that right down to here, and I don't even have to recreate it. I could just reuse it. I guess it goes right about there. Okay, let's zoom in on this, and I'll work on it a little bit. All right, so I got that. And now what I'm going to do is I have a choice. I could either do this with the pen tool, or I could go edit copy, edit, paste in place, and then I could use the down arrow to move this thing down about like that. And then I can move it over about like that. Okay? And now what I could do with this is I could come in here and I could get go to the window menu and go to my, where are you? My Pathfinder, right there. Okay, now let's see what Pathfinders we have here. We have that one, which is Unite. It's not what I want. Minus Front. Not what I want. Intersect and Exclude. Don't think I'm going to get, yeah, see, Control Z. I didn't get it. Nope, that didn't do it either. Control Z, edit, undo. Okay, so the only one that I think, let's see, edit, undo, yeah, I think that's it. The only one I think I can work with here is this guy right here, which is my Pathfinder Divide. So I click on Divide, and it did it, but it knocked it out to white. Now I'm wondering why it did that. There we go. All right, I don't want to stroke. I just want to stroke on it. Okay, so now I think it's okay. Now if I deselect this thing, if I'm lucky, this thing, it has divided, but I have to go ungroup it. There we go. Now if I click on this, I can delete that. See? that's what I end up with, which is more like what I'm looking for. All right? So I'm looking for that kind of shape, which is essentially a little bit of a perspective look on that object that she has right up here, which is, oh, you know, she's trying for the same thing. I think mine looks a little bit more realistic. I'm going to select this thing, and I'm going to go Object Group, and then I'm going to go Edit Copy, Edit Paste in Place. And then I'm just going to walk it down until it hits approximately the same position on the other side. And again, I'm just eyeballing this. It doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just eyeballing it. Now, the one that I have has a line that runs through the middle of it like this. The one that I've got does something along the lines of this, where it runs a line across the center like that. And then what it has is it has a square, tiny little square that runs right about there, like that, and then Edit Copy, Edit Paste in Place, and then there's another one of them right over here. That's the one that I have, looks sort of like this, okay? Only it's a little different, and I'll show you in a minute. What this does basically, I'm going to select all of these, okay? And not this. There, not that. And I'm going to divide it again, okay? Oh, I lost it. Control-Z. You know what? Why this isn't going to work? I have that as a line. Let me see if I can do this. Let's go Object, Path, Outline, Stroke. Okay, so what I did, just so that you understand, is I've turned that stroke into an object. Okay, can you see? Can you see this? This is what a line looks like. Let me show you the difference. There's a line. There's a line. I'm going to put a black stroke on it. There, and you see how, oh, geez. Can you see how there's a line in the middle of this? That's what a regular stroke looks like. That is an outline stroke. And what an outline stroke means is that I've changed a line segment into a rectangular shape. So it starts off like this, which is a line segment, and you've got the line down the middle. That's how a line operates. The fill goes halfway on the outside, halfway on the inside of the stroke. To turn this into an outline, what you do is make it selected like it is, and go to the Object menu, and go to Path and Outline Stroke. Now, when I let go of this, watch what happens to the line. See, the line goes away, and now it's a rectangular shape. If I get my direct selection tool, and if I come in here, and if I click on that point right there, I can do that. You see how the shape is being stretched on the one end? Now watch this. If I come over here, and if I create a regular old outline, let's create a little outline right here, or a little line, I should say, and let's put a stroke on it, okay? Now if I get my direct selection tool, and if I click on that point, can't cancel, I gotta get the direct selection tool. There we go. If I click on just that point, watch what happens when I go up arrow. See? Okay? That's because that is not that. That has been outlined and turned into a rectangular shape. All right? Now, why I'm showing you this is because I want you to understand that, you know, even a stroke, if you wanted to, you could turn a stroke into a graphic element, a single graphic element in this program. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to divide these whole things up right here to create a look. So I tried to do it with the stroke like that, and it wouldn't work. By making it an outline, it is now a shape that I can do it with. So I'm going to select it. Let's try it now. Select all this, and let's go to my Pathfinder, and this is my divide, and it's divided everything up, okay? Now I can start throwing things away, okay? But I have to ungroup it first. Object, ungroup. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to start throwing things away. I'm going to throw that away, and that away, Oh, you know what? What's going on here? That's probably what I want right there. No, you know what? This thing is somehow or other involved. Let's go edit, undo. Edit, undo, clear, edit, undo, clear, undo, ungroup, edit, undo, divide. Okay, let's see what's going on. Why is that thing happen? Maybe it's because that was, okay, maybe that's what the problem was. And that and that. Okay, let's try it now. Let's go to divide. Okay, I'm thinking maybe now, yeah, I think now it's right. Let's try it and see. Object, ungroup. Let's try it now. This guy here, delete. There we go. This we're going to delete. This we're going to delete. Actually, no. What I'm going to do with that is I'm going to drag this thing like this. Oh, you know what? That's what I want to do. Yeah, let me drag that down just a bit. Here we go. Now we got it. I got it. Drag it to about here. Maybe just a little bit higher. Like right about, come on you. There. That's good. And let's do the same thing over here. Give me 1 second. And I'm going to do the same thing over here on this one. All right, I'm going to get the regular selection tool. And I'm going to start by deleting these things. Okay, and deleting that. And now I'm going to carefully just bring this down. All right, let's go back up. There. Oh boy, that thing is jumpy. Come on, let's go up. Sometimes you have to zoom in on this to make it work a little bit better. All right, so let's see if I grab this now and bring it up. There we go. That's what I wanted. Okay, so now I got, let's go zoom out. So what I've done now, you zoom out, is I've created different shape. I'm getting ready to even create a more different shape. I'm going to take this and I'm going to make this look like a crooked line. So I do that by clicking on this box. Notice that this is still a rectangle. This is where I go in and I get my scissors tool. And I come over here and I click on that, and I click on that. And then if I did this right, which I think I did, I can click on that and hit delete. And there we go. I've got it. It's almost there. I'll do the same thing over here. I'm going to come over here, get my scissors tool, and I'm going to click on this and click on this. And I'm going to select it and delete it. Okay? I wanted that line to do that. That's what I want. Oh, and these things I'm going to throw away because I don't need them anymore. I showed them to you. Okay, so here's the problem I have right now. These are separate shapes. See what I mean? What I want to do is I want this to make one continuing shape right on across here. There's an easy way to do that. I'll zoom in and show you how we're going to do that. Okay. Once again, I'm going to get my direct selection tool. Here's my direct selection tool. And there are anchor points right here, all right? And actually, yeah, I'm going to have to go, let's see, I want to do this. See if I can just drag this down a little bit. There we go. That'll work. There we go. That's it. That'll work. And then I'm going to come to this one. I'm going to select this one the same way. And I'm going to drag this one down just a little bit too. There we go. Okay, that's it. That'll do it. Now let's go view, zoom out. See what we got. Zoom out. Keep zooming out. Zooming out. There we go. Okay, so now we can begin to see this. Let's go one more, zoom out. Okay, so now that is what, when I looked at my little zip, my little jump drive, which I'm trying to locate it now on my desk so I can take a look at it. Probably in my drawer. Here it is. Okay, yeah, that's what mine looks like. And they're different. I mean, they look different. They could be different. My guess is that these guys right here and this guy right here probably should move up closer to here, which would be probably good right there. Let's zoom out again. Zoom out. Okay, zoom out again. View, zoom out. Okay. All right, and I'm almost where I can see this other one. This is where I really want to get to the point where I can see this other one. There we go. Now I can begin to see this other one. So I'm going to group this thing. Go Object, Group. Now it's in one group, and I can move it as one piece. And this guy will come up here ultimately, and it's going to sit here, okay? But what we want to do is we want to give this thing, and we also want to put a side on it, all right? Let's go Control Z, and let me take this thing back down again. And we want to put a side on this. So to do a side, all I'm going to do is come over here carefully, and I'm just going to drag and I'm going to make a side. Let's say make it about that thick right there. That's pretty good. And if I want this thing to be a little fatter, I can just move it down until it aligns at the bottom like that. And that to me looks like it's a little fat. So what I would do is with this, I'd get my direct selection tool. I'd click on that anchor point right there, and I'd hold the shift down, and I'd click on that anchor point, and then I can just sort of make it a little bit thinner like that. Okay? So now I have something that's ready to be made, a three-dimensional shape. What I need to do is I need to give this kind of an angle. I need to follow that angle right there. That's the thing that's missing for me right now, is that this thing is not following the angle that I want. But what I want to do first is I want to group this thing. So once again, I'm going to select all of this, and I'm going to go Object, Group. So now it's grouped. All these elements are within a group. If I click any part of this, they all select. Okay, now just for your information, the Group Selection tool, just so that you know, that's the Group Selection tool, allows me to click and select any object that's in the group. Okay? Any object at all. Now watch this. Here's what I want to do with this thing. Since I'm having trouble with the thickness on this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the Scissors tool, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to cut that point. And then I'm going to cut this point. And then I'm going to get my Direct Selection tool, select that segment, and hit Delete. And now when I take this thing and I move it up, jeez, hold on, it's not wrong. My Group Selection tool again, click on it, and just walk it up until it's touching there. This is now still part of the group, okay? Maybe it's not. Oh, it's Group Selection tool, that's right. If I click the regular selection tool, it's still part of my group, okay? So now I have my object pretty much built. That's the way I want it to look, all right? So you saw how I was able to get rid of a line segment, how I was able to get rid of an area of a box to create that kind of a shape, how you saw me take a line segment and quickly and easily create these little shapes around it. These are all the things that you can do very easily with this program. And again, as I say, if you know what you're doing, you'll find that this is all a lot of fun. With the regular selection tool, I'm going to select this thing. And then I'm going to come over here, and this is my free transform tool. We have a tool in here called the bounding box. Okay? The bounding box is something that always is on. And I can't stand it. It just makes me crazy. It just is, I don't like it. It gets in my way. So what I generally do is I generally go to the View menu and I hide my bounding box. And then whenever I want to take my shape and I want to give my shape a change of some sort, either in its size or something, I always come over here and I grab my free transform tool. The free transform tool has 3 different settings. This one here, which is the free transform tool, then this one here, which is the perspective tool, this one here is the free distort tool. Now, I'm not using the free distort tool, I'm not using the perspective tool, but I will be using those tools in weeks to come for projects that you and I are going to be working on in class here. So I'll wait to show you them. But what I do want to show you is when you're in regular selection tool, we can come over here and see the corner. See how the corner looks? See how that looks? I can also click on this, watch what happens, and I can actually take that and I can give that perspective, not perspective, but I can change the angle on it. So it looks sort of like it's sort of on an angle. The entire piece it's skewing is what they call it. They call it skewing. Now, what you want to understand is that the entire object is being skewed as one, all right? See how that whole thing is skewed? If I do this, edit, undo, it's shearing actually, skewing, shearing, it's the same thing. If I go object, ungroup, okay, and if I come in here and click this object, let's go object, ungroup. I click this object right here, And if I come over here and click on this, and if I skew just that, you see what happens is I skew just one piece. Control Z. If I have everything grouped though, and this is the way you really need to understand this, if you get everything grouped, everything in here is grouped. Object, group. Then whatever you do to this thing will, the exact same thing will happen to every object. Now, what I wanted to do is, just for the heck of it, I'm going to bring this up and I'm going to sit it right about there. And I think hers is a little bit narrower than mine is, but I don't think it matters too much. I could make it a little bit shorter. Let me make this thing a little bit smaller, just a tiny bit, and it'll be like that. That's probably pretty good. I think that's close enough. Okay, what I was going to do, let me move it over. Okay, I am going to take this tool and I am going to skew this so that it is in the same direction, the same direct angle as that. So all I'm going to do is click on that one at the bottom, and I'm going to carefully, I hold the shift key down. If I hold the shift key down, it constrains it. And then I just drag it to my right, and it's skewed it. And it's now very much like hers. So let me move it out of the way. And let me come in here, and let me delete this stuff right here. Let's delete that part right there. Okay, now I can take mine and I can bring mine up in here and I can place it so that it is right where I want it to be. And I think I'm going to bring it in until it disappears here. Okay, now the big problem that we have is that she doesn't have any color. This thing here, I'm going to go Object, Arrange, Send to Back. Now the problem that we have is that there's no color on this thing here. It's just a stroke. And you're seeing my object peeking through. But that's easy to fix. All I have to do is come over here and click on Default Black and White. And this thing becomes Default Black and White. And let's see if this thing, let's go select that. Let's click on this. And let's go Edit, Cut. Let's see if I can get this to work. Let's go Edit, Paste, and Back. There we go. There. It's pretty much hidden. I do have this little thing going on right here, but I think I can easily fix that. Let's see what this is. This is, let me see. Let me try changing the color of that to red and see what's going on with it. I'm going to just change the color of that for a second so I can get an idea what's happening here. Okay, so you see what's happening here? What's happening is this line doesn't end. It just sort of runs down here, okay? So what I would do with this is, this is another line. Let's see that. Yeah, that's an incomplete line. That's an incomplete line. All right, so let's see. If I take this line and move this line out of the way. Okay, so there we go. This line here. All right, let me put it back. Let's go Edit, Undo, Move. All right, so let's concentrate on fixing this. I'm going to come in here very closely. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my Direct Selection tool. I'm going to click on that anchor point right there, just that anchor point. And watch what I do. I'm going to drag it up here. See that anchor point right there? I'm going to take this anchor point and I'm going to place that anchor point as much as I can right on that anchor point, just like that. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the Shift key down and I'm going to select both of those two anchor points. Okay? I got them both selected there, hopefully. I think I do. And I'm going to go Object, Path, where are you at? Join. Maybe it didn't. Maybe they didn't get selected. You know what? I think they're on different layers. That's probably what it is. Let me just make sure that the layers are not blocked. Yeah, the template's the only thing. I think that's probably what the problem is. They're both on one layer. So let me take this line here and let me drag that down to that layer. There we go. Now let's try it. I'm going to see if I can select both of them carefully. Okay, I got them. Object, Path, Join, there, and it's joined. Okay. Now it also knocked the color out of it, and somehow or other, yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. All right. I think we're okay. Let me go up to the top now. Let me go up to the top, and let's find the top one, which goes here, I guess. Let's see. And that's on. I guess that's it. So now I can come back in here on this, and if I click black and white, now let's take a look and see. what we got. Let's go to the view menu and let's go zoom out. And let's see, nope, view, zoom out. Zoom out. There we go. There we go. There we go. Yep, we're in business. There we go. Okay, so now you can see that you have this thing looking a little bit more realistic. Now, you know, again, you got this anchor point, which isn't quite in the right spot. So what I can do with that is I can click on my direct selection tool again, and I can come over here and I can click on that anchor point, just that one, and I can take that anchor point and I can move it down like this. And if I want, I can move it back in this direction here, or like go in the wrong direction, or I can bring it out like that and make it a little bit straighter. And then what I could do with this is I can also use the control handle here, and I can take that control handle and I can adjust with the control handle slightly to make that line look a little bit more even and straight. This anchor point's probably got to come over a little bit too. There we go. That's looking a little bit better. And this guy here, this anchor point here probably needs to be adapted a little bit. So all I'm doing is I'm pulling the little control handles to try to correct that shape a little bit. That's what I'm doing. Okay, there is the end of this thing, and the only thing that's missing here is the perspective part of this. I could do that if I wanted to by, again, using the direct selection tool and coming like this and clicking on just that one anchor point and start moving that anchor point over like this. Okay, and then what I could do is I could come over here and I could get my pen tool, bring it back over here. And I could come over here and and let me lock this first. Let me lock this guy first. Let's go Object, Lock, Selection. The reason I'm locking it is I don't want to have it interfering with this other shape. So I get my pen tool and I come over here and I click here and I come down to about like that. And then I come over to about like this. And then I come up like that. And I come up like that. And I have to go to my stroke now. Go to see, because what's happening is, see how that's poking out the bottom there? I'm going to go to the window menu and I'm going to go to stroke right there. And then I'm going to see if I can change the limit on this. Well, actually, change the corner might just do it. Yeah, that'll do it right there. Change the corner. All right. Now, if you look at this, you've got a very, very realistic looking end cap. Okay. And that's really what I would do to make it look a little bit better. Let's go view, zoom out. And then there's one other thing I want to show you over here on this that I think would make this look a little bit better too. And that is, I'm going to show you, this corner is a little bit messed up here. And also, I just want to show you down here real quickly. If you take a look, can you see that that corner is a little bit more rounded than that? And there's also, if you really want to be technical about this, this has also got a little bit of that running over to here. I'm not going to be nuts about this because I understand that, you know, you're new, but there's a couple of things that I want to do to make this look a little bit better for you. And again, I'm doing this so that all of you see how I do these things and that you can do these things. So what I want to do now is I'm going to come in here with my direct selection tool, all right? And that actually, yeah, let's select that. That's the point, just so that you know, that's the point I'm going to try to work with, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this tool right here. This is a corner point as it is right now. It's sharp, it's a corner point. If I click on the delete anchor point or the anchor point tool, what I can do is I can click on that anchor point tool and I can drag the anchor point tool out and create a curved point. And it didn't do it. Let's do. Let's try it again. Let's try it one more time. Huh. It did it this afternoon. Why is it not doing it? Let me see. Try it again. That's it. Okay. Let me convert the anchor point. There we go. Okay. This is what I wanted to do. There. All right. So I've dragged this thing out. And I've made this thing a round point. But the point is a little bit extreme. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move it down a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my direct selection tool. Do you see these control handles here? these control handles control the curve. See what it's doing? It's controlling the curve. So I can modify the curve by modifying the control handles. So what I want is I wanted the curve to be shorter here. I think I also want it to be a little bit shorter here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that control handle in, and I'm going to lay it down more. And all I'm looking to do is soften that curve. Can you see how I soften that curve? And it's all by just taking this one little anchor point here, the one little anchor point, and modifying it slightly. So it's really not that difficult to do. I'm not going to rebuild this whole thing, but one more thing that I noticed when I was looking at this, and that is that, it's out of the way, down here, this guy here is, I believe, also three-dimensional. So what I would do with this is similar thing to what I did on the front, only let's try doing this another way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get the pen tool, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click, and I'm going to place a line over to here, click, and then I'll come over and place a line over to here, click, and then I'll come down straight and place a line, click. And now I've got that, which if you take a look at this view, fit, artboard, and window, we have something that even looks a little bit more three-dimensional. If I wanted to, let's see how I can modify this. There's one area up here I still am not happy with. This stuff that's going on right here. So let's start off by getting my direct selection tool, and let's see what we got. I got an anchor point right there. And I think what I need to do with that is I need to bring that to my left until it's more straight. Yep, that's pretty good. Then this guy here, I think what I want to do with that is I want to bring that over too, to the left, until it's more like this. There, that's pretty good. That looks much better. Okay, now this guy here, this line here, got to terminate somewhere. And it probably should terminate, let's see where it terminates. Let's see if I can look and identify on here. It should terminate, probably, I guess it should probably terminate. Let's try it there. With that, I'm going to grab the direct selection tool, and I'm going to click on that anchor point, and I can just hold and drag that over until I get it to terminate right there. There we go. Okay, now let's look at the whole thing. View, fit, artboard, and window. And there you have it. This is slightly improved because, again, you've got some three-dimensional stuff going here. You got some three-dimensional stuff here, and you got some three-dimensional stuff here. And this thing here, I guess it's a highlight, and it does kind of end there. But it doesn't end straight. I think it ends on a diagonal. So once again, what I would do is I would just simply click on my anchor, or on my direct selection tool, and I'd click on my bottom anchor point. And what I would do is I would just move it over to the left and maybe down until the thing looks like it's a little bit more of an angle. There you go. And that, I think, looks a little bit more like what this looks like. And again, you could just keep playing with this thing. Like if you really wanted to, this object here could be made to come over to here. You know, that's one thing I would do, is make that thing come over to here. The way you have this, though, is it's going to be very hard to do it because you built these shapes wrong. These shapes should have been separate shapes. As you can see, you built this shape into this shape, and this shape should be completely separate. It should be a totally separate entity. I suppose I could do that if I were to come over here. Let's see. That line goes like that, and that line goes like that. Yeah. This line connects to where? Connects to here. That might work. I'm kind of thinking through this, how I would do it. All right, let's do it. What the heck? We got time. Let me zoom in and let's see if I can pull this one off, all right? Try to bear with me on this. The bottom line is, this is what's important for you to understand. What I'm showing you here is I'm showing you how to take shapes that exist, and I'm showing you how to use tools. In this case, we're using very simple tools. We're using these guys right here. I'm using my pen tool, my add anchor point, delete, convert, and I'm using my selection tools. I'm also using, let me bring them out, I'm also using my scissors tool, okay? So let's see what happens here. Let's start off by, all right, so this is the one I'm gonna work on. This one I'm not gonna work on. I'm gonna go Object, Lock, Selection. This is the one that I wanna work on. All right, what I want to do is I want to take this and I want to break the line right there. All right, I think that's good. Let's see if that did it. Yep, it did. Okay, and I think I also want to break it right there. No, actually, you know what? I might not even have to do that. I might have done all I need to do right here. Let me get my direct selection tool. Let me click on this, and let me just drag this thing out. Oh, Control Z, I didn't get it selected properly. Okay, now I'll get that point. There we go. Now I got it. Now I can just drag that point out. There we go. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Now, what I need to do is I need to make these sections go together. Watch how I do this. This isn't hard. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my pen tool, and I'm going to click here. Look, click and place my anchor point right over top of that line segment. Click. And then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to click, and that should be, I didn't show up, so let's see if I got it. Let me, hold on. Oh, this is locked. That's right. Object, unlock all. Okay, now let me try it. Pen tool, click on this. What I'm doing by clicking on that is I'm reattaching to that line, and then I'm going to come over here and click to that. And then you see what it did? It connected. That's what I wanted to do. Let's go view fit in window and see what's going on. There. So that's what I wanted to do. Now, the reason I did that is I wanted to just get, I just wanted to get this line here so I could carefully run it out a little bit. Let's zoom in again on this. You know what? I don't need to zoom in. What I'm going to do is this. I'm going to get my direct selection tool, and I'm going to click on that line right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag it over to about, right about there. It's probably pretty good. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is, what's happening with this? Let me see something. What's going on here? Has this got a fill in it? It does. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to take this guy here, and I need to add a segment from here to here. There we go. And then I want to come here. Do I? No, I don't think so. All I have to do with this is I think I should be able to get this by going. No, somehow or other I didn't get that. All right, let me see if I can add to this line. So I'll click on that, and then I'll come over here and I'll click on that. There we go. That's what I wanted. There we go. Okay, so again, I'm adding little details. Let's go view fit artboard and window. Okay, and the only thing is I'm seeing now is that this guy here is kind of like lost. And that's because, why is that? Why is that? Let me see if I can make that another color again. See what's going on here. The reason that this is happening is because it was made, yeah, see that thing doesn't quite go all the way around now. So let's see, what I would do with that is, see, where does it go? This goes to here, and what does it go to here? What's this? That's the outer section of it. Aha. Okay, so the problem that I'm seeing with this is that, let's first of all get rid of that. Let's go back to white. Oh, I don't have the right one selected. Let me select this and go back to white. Let's go back to white. There we go. So that goes to white. And let's see. So this thing here, let's see. How's that supposed to look? All right, so what I would do with this is, how am I going to do this? Do I have white on this? Yes, I do. And let's select all of this. Let's see if I select all of this and go Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. Oh, it's still showing. This thing is still showing. Why is it showing? What is happening that it's not showing? Okay, let's see. So this guy ends there. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take the pen tool. I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to continue around here to here, and over to here, and then over to here, and then over to here. There we go. Let's see. All right, so I got that. And let's take this thing and go object. Hold on, I gotta grab this. And let's try object, arrange, bring the front. Nope, it's still not. Why is this thing? Object, arrange, send to back. And it's still showing. Well, I'll tell you what, then in this situation here, let's see if I can get this. Object, arrange, send to back. I'm losing my little my little shape here. Let me do this. Let's go, this guy here is going to be none for a second. So I can get this, move this out of the way. All right, I think what I need to do to get rid of this, since this is the way this is made, is what's killing me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the black, okay? And to fix this, and this is not the way I would want to do it, but the reason I'm doing it this way is because the way it's built in the first place. I just come along here and I would cover that area up. And I probably should zoom in on this so I can see what I'm doing. There we go. And get my pen, and it's white fill. And I'm just going to come in here carefully, and I'm going to cover the area just like this. Something like that. There we go. Okay, there we go. Now, again, it's not perfect, and that's not the way I would normally do this. The reason, let's go object, fit view, fit artboard and window. Yeah, this is not the way I would do it. Where's my little guy? That little guy's got to be black. And we're going to move him back in place. Back in place right here. There we go. And let's move him up a little bit. Yeah, okay. So there it is. That's more or less working now. I mean, it's not the way I would do it. And the reason I had as much trouble with it as I did was because this thing was built, it was built in the wrong pieces. The wrong pieces were put together on it. That's why I ran into this problem. This thing should have been built as a front piece, a side piece, this side piece, and then this back piece, and that head piece like I did. So it looks fairly close, and I mean, really what I'm trying to do is just to give you an idea how to play with this. It's very hard to play with stuff like this, especially when somebody else did it. You know what I mean? It's not, I didn't do it, so I can never tell for sure what I'm up against when I start playing with this until I actually, you know, hit it. So, all right, so there it is. That's it. That's my play with this object. I hope that helped you and didn't confuse you, all right? So the next thing is the moods. Let's go to our moods. This is a lot of fun. So I made these moods here, okay? Anger, there it is. So I'm telling you. So what I said to you is, what I'd like you to do is, instead of trying to guess what they are, I'm going to tell you what they are. What I would like you to do in the discussion, if you would kindly do it, would be to tell me whether you think it does look like anger to you, it does look like sadness to you, it does look like joy to you, it does look like love to you, and it does look like fear to you. That's what I'm curious to find out. So when you do your discussion, and if you decide to critique the pieces that I put in for my discussion, please tell me what you think of what I did. All right, so let me start off with the anger. When I started thinking about anger, anger usually has direction. And again, I'm working in very broad, very bold symbols. This is, you know, this is the couple of shapes, really. So what I needed to do, and I also had to keep in mind that each of these designs had to have a black circle in it. So black, blue. Each one had to have a blue circle in it. So I had to stick with the blue circle. And as a matter of fact, I don't even have the blue circle in my samples that I have in my discussion, simply because I just remembered, I mean, reading it again earlier tonight, I realized, oh, they wanted me to keep the blue circle. But that doesn't make any difference. Just look at what I did and see whether it reads the way you want it should read. Okay, so in my opinion, Anger can be explosive. Anger can have direction. So what I decided to do was I decided to use a couple of graphic shapes and make a direction. And then what I did was I took the circle and I used a little bit of color. Red and orange kind of are hot colors. They're also colors that, you know, are for when you're angry. So I chose the orange and red for that purpose. And then what I did was I created this sort of explosion. And I want to show you how I did this. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to my, let me go to my layers panel. Okay. And I have this all on one layer. So I'm going to select everything on that layer. And what I'm going to do is go to I'm going to group it. Object group. That's the first thing I should do. Group it all. Okay. Object group. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, and actually, let me do this before I do this. Give me a second. Let me just come over to my panel. Okay, here's a very important thing. This is something that I should repeat to you. All right, I don't really have any of these colors in my swatches panel. I mean, there's probably something similar to it there, but I don't really have the colors in there. What I like to do as a graphic designer, whenever I work in Adobe Illustrator, and I didn't do this to this particular piece because, you know, I just wanted to get this thing thrown together real quickly. What I generally do is I get rid of all the colors. So I do that by going up to my swatches drop-down menu, and I choose select all unused colors. And pretty much all the colors will select because I didn't put any of these colors in here. These are all colors that I chose myself. I didn't use this. I'm going to hit delete, and you see delete selections. Yes, they're all gone except for this one right here, which I'm going to delete. And delete, yes. Okay, so now what I'm left with is nothing more than none, which means there's no color, absence of color. This, which is registration, which is something that you use in printing. It's a form of black. And then, of course, I have white and I have black, which I generally leave black and white alone. There's no reason to get rid of black and white. They're always a good color. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to start bringing my colors into my palette. So something's been selected here. I don't know what's selected, but I'm going to come over here at my regular selection tool, and I'm going to click that blue right there. It's grouped. Okay, so let me, in order to get that, again, like I told you, when it's grouped like that, you use the group selection tool. Now I can come over and I can click one object within that group. See that little center object? I clicked on it with that tool, the group selection tool, and it's selected. There's my blue. I'm using the same blue through the whole thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to create a new swatch, and it's going to be just my blue. It's RGB, and that's fine. Hit OK. Now I got my blue in there. All right. I'm going to do the same thing with my red. These are all the same red. So with the direct selection tool, this library panel always opens up, and I don't want it. My group selection tool, I'm going to click the heart. All the same reds. I'm using a consistent palette through the whole thing. So again, I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to create a new swatch. Just verify it's RGB, and hit OK. And now I have my, and this will pop up every time. It's very frustrating. I don't want it. All right. So I got my blue, and I got my red, and I got to have my purple. So I've got to come over with my group selection tool, and I'm going to click my purple shape, and you see the purple comes up. And once again, I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to create a new swatch, and it's going to be that purple. Hit OK. And again, this thing will pop up. It's very persistent. So I've got 1, 2, 3. I got 3 colors. I need 2 more. I need the orange and I need the yellow, and of course I already have black, so we're good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here with my group selection tool again. These are all grouped. Click on it, and there's my yellow. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to new swatch. It's yellow. Hit OK, and this persistently will come up. Finally, the orange. I click on the orange with my group selection tool, and I'm going to include that color in there as well. New swatch, there's my orange. So now I have, and this again, okay, so now I have my colors in my swatches panel. All right, I don't need those tools anymore, and I don't need those anymore either. I'm going to be using my swatches, so I'm just going to move them down over here. I will be using these tools, and I probably will be using this too. Again, who knows? I'll leave them out. All right, so now go back to my layers. Got my layers here, right? So I got my layer. I am going to create a new layer, and this is my new work, N-E-W-W-O-R-K, new work layer, and this is my old, O-L-D-S-A-M-P-L-E. Another thing that I like to do, and I want to mention to you, it's very important that you try to get into the habit of working with layers. Layers are a really great benefit in this program. Not just this program, but in programs like Photoshop, they're essential. But in this program, it's also a great way to organize things. All right, so I got this where my new samples are. Now, I'm selecting everything on that new sample layer. So everything on that layer is selected right now. It's grouped, object group, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I have to select it again. I'm going to go to Window. I'm going to go to Transparency. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this transparency slider and I'm going to bring it down to like 25%. So it's nice and light, but it's still there. Okay? See, it's all there, but it's nice and light. Because I'm going to rebuild all these and show you how I did it. The reason I'm doing that is because I want to give you some ideas as to how you could go ahead and maneuver this and manipulate this and get some interesting stuff out of it. Now, the other thing that you might want to do is there's a panel called the Appearance Panel. You want to bring the Appearance Panel out. The Appearance Panel is very good. It also gives you some cues as to what's going on with this, okay? Like, for instance, this has got a roughen applied to it, okay? And it's got a stroke. There's no stroke. It's got a fill of red. So this panel, you can click on an object, and it will tell you what the object has on it, okay? And again, you have to use your direct selection tool to do that, okay? And then like this one here, see, that's got a roughen on it as well, all right? So it tells you things about these. So here's the deal. What we're going to do is we're going to put this aside for a minute, and we're going to start off by creating the anger one. Let's go to the Layers panel and lock the old sample layer. This is locked. The reason I'm locking it is just so I can't select any part of it. And I'm going to rebuild this right over top of it. So what I'm going to do is, let me close this out. I got my colors here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my basic shapes. This is my first basic shape. Oh, I got to make sure I'm on my new work layer, okay? You saw how when I was on the old sample layer, see how I can't work on it? Yeah, well, that just means that you're not on a layer that's unlocked. This is unlocked now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here with my rectangle tool. I'm going to click, and I'm going to drag a rectangle that's about that big, like that. Let's see. I want it to be about like that, right there, okay? Now, that's supposed to be orange, so easy enough. All I do is click on it. It now becomes orange. All right? So here's what I want to do. I want to make this thing point. I want to make it point at the center of this. There's two ways that I could do this. The first way is by taking your free transform tool and setting it to this one right here, which is perspective. And then if I click on this, and if I hold the shift key down, I can drag this thing over until I get perspective. Okay? That's one way you could do it. Edit, undo. Now listen, the reason that I'm doing this is I'm trying to show you things. That's this whole thing is just all an excuse for me to show you some stuff. I don't know whether you know it, but you need to know it. So that's why I'm doing it. Now, the other way to do this would be, so you got your center line here. Go to the View menu, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Rulers, Show Rulers, and then I'm going to drag a guide out, and I'm going to place the guide right in the middle. And I don't know whether you can see it or not, but in the middle of that orange object's a little white or a little red spot. That's the center point of this object. Now, this is the other way, and this is more permanent. What you would do is you would come up here and you would get your Add Anchor Point tool. And you'd come up on the top and you'd click and you'd place, I didn't hit the path. Let me hit the path. There we go. Click and place an anchor point on the top path of that rectangle. Come over here and place an anchor point on the top of that. So now I have an anchor point there and an anchor point there, right? And then I'm going to get my delete anchor point tool, and I'm going to come over here. I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to come over and click on that, and I end up with exactly the same thing, which is a pointed or arrow-headed shape. So there's two ways that you could do it, okay? Now, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to draw a base for my little arrowhead. There's my base right there. Okay, so now I have my little angle. I'll probably bring it up a little bit so it doesn't, did I get it selected? Yeah, bring it up. Is it going up? Being stubborn, there it is, it's going up. There we go. Okay, all right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my ellipse tool, and I'm going to click, and I'm going to drag myself out a little ellipse, just like that, little ellipse, like that. I'll make it a little bigger. That's probably okay. That'll be good. Move the ellipse over to here for a moment, and I'm going to make that one blue. That's my blue one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this. Okay? Now watch this. This is something I want to show you. If I go over to my Layers panel, if I unlock my old sample, and if I click on that, you see how big the path is? Watch. I'm going to click on this. Oops, I need the group selection tool. Let me click on that shape. You see how I've got little anchor points in there? I'm going to go to my appearance panel. And you see where the appearance panel says roughen? Watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to hide roughen. Okay? The reason I hid roughen is because I wanted to show you something. See how many anchor points there are on here? You don't normally get those many anchor points on a circle. Normally, you get 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But I can take this thing and I can add anchor points to it. And that's what I did, and that's how I went about making this roughen. Okay? I just wanted to point that out to you so that you knew. Now watch, I'm going to bring this back, and what I'm going to do is lock the layer again. Go back here to my layers panel and lock that layer again. And I am going to make myself another shape on my work layer. I'm going to come over about like that, and I'm going to make myself another shape that's about like that, and it's red. That red is fine. Bring it up to here, right about there. Okay, now this is the point. The point is, let me get this in position. There we go. Probably good right like that and up a little bit. Okay, here's the point. The point is there are only 4 anchor points. And I know that this is, let me just see if I can do this. Let me change the color of this from light red. Let me change it to something that you can see, blue. Okay, that's good. Now, let's see. Okay, I want this to be blue. Come on, give me blue. Okay. There. Okay, there. Now, can you see that there's only 4 anchor points on that shape? So what I'm going to do is I want to add anchor points to this. I'm going to go to the Object menu. I'm going to go to Path, and I'm going to go Add Anchor Points. And it added some anchor points. I'll do it again. Object, Path, whoops, Add Anchor Points. I'll do it one more time. Object, Path, Add Anchor Points. I've added a bunch of anchor points. Okay? The reason I'm doing this is because these anchor points are what I'm going to use to help create the effect of the kind of explosion that I'm working on. So that's step number 1. Then I'm going to go to Effect. I'm going to go to Distort and Transform, and I'm going to go to Roughen. And Roughen, I'm going to bring it over here, and I'm going to preview Roughen so we can see what we've got. And you can see it's already beginning to take shape. Now, I've got relative and I got absolute. I'll try all of this stuff. I got detail as well. I can put in as much detail or as little detail as I want. I want a lot of detail on this. And then I want to go size. I'm going to start bringing my size up. See what the size does? Okay? Bring the size down. See? I bring the size up. I get that, which is kind of like my explosion. The more detail I add, the more explosion I get. The less, the less. I kind of like that. I think that looks kind of cool. So I think for tonight, I'm going to use that. I also got relative and absolute. Absolute, well, you can see absolute changed it quite a bit. and then you really got to struggle to get it back up there, okay? But relative is a little bit easier, and I probably should go a little bit, yeah, that's probably pretty good right there. There's also smooth, which I don't see it does very much. Smooth, there we go, that's kind of an interesting one. That's actually looks pretty good. So, I mean, there's corner and there's smooth, which I don't see very much happening with. So my size on this, I put it on relative, and keep in mind, there are all these anchor points. So all these anchor points are what are helping make all these little zoom in things come out of this. It's actually taking this up and dividing it all up. So I went to a size of about 37%, and detail I went to 21. I hit OK, and now I've got my my angry explosion of color. Then I take my little button here and I align him in the middle, bring him back and put him right in the middle. Okay, now this thing here, I'm going to go Object, Arrange, Send to Back. And now I have my design complete. So that's how I did the first one. Okay? Now, the second one is Joy. What I did with Joy is I created a blend. And now that I look at it, I forgot one thing. Let me go back to this. And let me click on this, and let me go back to my transparency. Here we go, transparency, and let me bring it back up to, why is that set to 100%? What's the deal with this? I wonder if I can get that color. Hold on a minute, let me just see. Let me see. Click on that color. Let's see what yeah, I did get the color. Okay, that's good. Never mind. All I'm going to do is click on this and go new swatch and hit OK. All right, there we go. Those are my colors. I don't need any more now. All right, so here's the deal. I'm going to lock this one back up again. So what I'm going to do here is, this is Joy, and I know it's very hokey and it's very corny, but essentially what I'm going for is jumping for joy or leaping with joy. Okay, that's the whole point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by making an oval over here. Let me get my work layer. I'm just going to make my little oval right here. That'll be my oval. Holding the shift key down so that it's a nice circle. It's probably good right like that. And what I want to do is I want to make that yellow. Start off with yellow. And then I'm going to go edit, copy, edit, paste, and place. And then I'm just going to take the one that I've copied and pasted and bring it up here and put it in the middle. And then I'm going to I'm going to get the free transform tool, and I'm going to hold down the shift key. Let me click on it first. I'm going to hold the shift key and the alter option key, and I'm going to make it bigger right from the center. That's what the alt option key with the shift does when you make it bigger. This is going to get that green color. And then finally, I'm going to go edit, paste in place. And I'm going to move this one over to here. All right. And this one, I'm going to, again, get my free transform tool. I'm going to hold the shift and the alt key down on this guy and click it from the center and make it that big. And he's going to be blue. Okay. So what do I got? I got blue, I got this putrid green color, and I got this yellow color. Now, what am I doing here? I'm trying to turn this thing into a jumping object so it looks like this object is just springing across the page. How do I do that? Very simple. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's like 10 of these things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the object menu. I'm going to go to the blend. This is going to be a blend. What it is basically, a blend is where you take two objects or more and you blend one into another. Okay? So I'm going to go object, blend, blend options. And I have different settings. I have smooth color, specified steps, specified distance. I'm going to go specified steps. I have 8 here. I'm going to try 8 because I have a feeling 8 might be what I actually used. If not, I'll come back in and adjust it. But it's specified steps, meaning I'm saying I want this to blend within 8 specified 8. Hit OK. And then I'm going to select these three objects on that layer. This, this, and this. I want to make a blend between those three objects right there. Object, blend, make. And it actually did not work out. So let's go edit, undo, blend, make. And let's see, what do I need to do this? Okay, so I think I got to delete this. Let's see, delete this guy here. You know what it is? I know what it is. I know what the problem is. I'm missing one right there. That's the problem. All right, I got it. Let me come back here. Let me take this and let me click on this again. There we go. And let me get my direct selection tool and let me click on that. This will my direct selection tool, and that's that blue right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to add that color in, new swatch, hit OK, and get rid of that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here with my, I have to lock this. Then I'm going to come over here with my oval tool and on my work layer. I'm going to come over and I'm going to make a squished, like a squished oval. Make this a squished oval. A little bit smaller. Right, there we go. Okay, so it's actually 4. All right, that's my problem is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now hopefully this will work. So what I'm going to do now is click on this, click on this, click on this, click on this, and let me go object, blend, blend options. Let me make specified steps. Let me make 2. Hit OK. Let's see what happens now. Object, blend, make. There we go, except that it is going in the wrong direction. So what I need to do is this. I'm going to go edit, undo. Okay, and I'm going to delete this object. All right, and then I'm going to delete this object, and I'm going to come in here. This is my first object. My second object is a circle right here. All right, so I'm going to draw this in order, hoping that this will help me get what I need. I'm going to draw this because I want it to go from there to there to there to there. Okay, and then I'm going to draw this object over here. Drag that guy out. I'm going to make this about as close as I can get it. That is pretty good. All right. That's good enough. That works. And then finally over here, I'm going to make a circle like that. All right. And then what I want to do is I want to color them properly. So this gets the weird green color. This gets the weird blue color. And then this gets the bright blue color. Now hopefully this will work. So let's select all these guys and let's go object, blend, make. There, and it did it. Okay, so here's the deal. The deal is that to make this work, you have to know the direction that you want to go in, and you have to sort of set it to go in that direction. So what I did was I created this one first, and you notice I made them all in yellow at first, and then I just changed their colors. But I wanted it to go like this. I wanted it to go to here, to here, to here. So what I did was I created that shape first, then I created that shape first, then I created that shape first, and then I created that shape last. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And object, blend, blend options. In this particular case, I just wanted 2, and that's what I got. I got 2 from there, 2 from there, 2 from there. That's what it is, and it's specified steps. If I had changed this to smooth color and hit OK, and then click on this and go object, blend, make. Oh, I got to release it. Now object, blend, make. See what it does? It creates that kind of a look right there, which is a very cool look for something else. But for what I'm doing, I'm going to go object, blend, blend options. Not going to be specified steps. It's going to be, smooth color. It's going to be specified steps. And 2 is good enough. Hit OK. And then select this again. Object, blend, release. I got to release the one that's on there first. Object, blend, make. And I get that. Okay, and that's my jumping for joy. The cool thing about this is that just so that you understand, that's a real object, that's a real object, that's a real object, that's a real object. These objects in between, these are artificial objects or ghosts that are created by Adobe Illustrator when you create this blend. Now, there's some more fun things that you could do with this. Like right now, I got this thing doing what I wanted to do. I could come in here and I could get my anchor point tool and I could click on that anchor point and I could drag out the directional handles, and you see what I can do? I can come over here and I can change to where I got curves. Look at that. That's pretty crazy, huh? So I can make this thing sort of whip around like that, okay? So keep in mind that, you know, you can always select this guy. You can also use the anchor point tool to come in here and click on that to change it back, and to click on that and change it back like that. Or, again, click on it and drag it out to create your curve, which I think is just a lot of fun. There. And now you got something that looks pretty cool. Let me hide that background layer so you can see it better. Okay? And that is jumping for joy. So that's the next one. Next one I have is sadness. And I thought to myself, well, you know, what am I going to do with sadness? So I thought maybe of tears dropping. So what I did was I created a shape that would be my floor shape, which is this guy right down here, which the way I did this actually, if I'm not mistaken, was what I did was I created I think I created just an oval shape, something like this, a big oval shape like that. If I remember correctly, this was a big oval shape, and I filled it with blue. And it might have been actually a gradient. I don't remember. Actually, I'm going to just leave it as blue like this because I don't think they were saying anything about gradients, and I'm going to keep it this basic shape. So what I did with this one was I came into the effects panel again, and I went to distort and transform, and I went pucker and bloat. And I don't know whether, I think this was a bloat. Let me just try it. Let me see. So I'm going to hit preview, and there's my, oh, I hit rough and cancel. I don't want that. I want effect, distort and transform, pucker and bloat. There we go. Let's try this. Let's preview it. And yeah, it's on 0. So let's see if this is bloat, what I did. That's the pucker. That's the bloat. Except, to cancel, I think I did go object, path. Oh, you know what? Let's look. Let's go back and look. Where are we at here? Let's go to appearance. Window, appearance. There we go. There we go. All right, so let's go to, let's delete that for a second. Let's take a look and see. Let's go back to our layers panel. Let's open this up. Unlock it, I should say. Click on that. Come on, why is that locked? Object, unlock all. All right, there. Oh. There we go. Now that is, let's go to window appearance. Does it show me? All right, so I think what it is, this is what I think is what it is. I'm going to go back to this layer. I'm going to lock that layer. I think what I did, if I'm not mistaken, was I came in here, and it actually is a gradient. So actually it is a gradient. So I'm going to make my oval shape with the gradient, which is something like this. All right, there's my gradient. And it might have been a radial, but let's just try it like this. I think what I did was I went to object, path, add anchor points. And I don't think I added as many. Then I went to the effect menu, I went to distort and transform, and I went pucker and bloat. And I think I went bloat. Preview. That's sort of it. That's sort of it, except there probably was more anchor points. I wonder if I could do it now. I can't. I gotta get out of here and cancel. Let me try one more. Object, path, add anchor points. All right, try it one more time. Effect, distort, pucker and bloat, and preview. And let's bring it out and see what we get. Cancel. So that doesn't look like what I used. Let's go to the effect. Let's go to distort and transform roughen. Let's see if it might be roughen. Detail. Yeah, no, that wasn't it. Wasn't this? Although these are quite interesting. These are not. This is not what I used. Let's see, smooth. Yeah, I think it's pucker and bloat, but for some strange reason, I'm getting something that I don't really expect with it. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, let's go back to effect. Let's go to distort and transfer pucker and bloat, because that I think is what I actually used. And I went into the bloat like that, but it wasn't so regular. For some reason, this is coming out a little bit different, but that's okay. I think you get the general idea. Then what I did here was I created my character, which is my red. And I used red on this because even though red is anger, it's meant for other things as well. In this case, sadness. I decided that red would be probably pretty good for sad, you know. Or I mean, they say, you know, you're blue. It could be blue for that matter. Could be blue. I think I'll go with red though, just for the heck of it. So we go in here and click on red. So now I got this red. Now what I did, let me zoom in on this. What I did is I went over here and I got my brush tool and I got my blob brush tool. And what I did with my blob brush tool is I just came in here and I dragged out some runnies like this. So it looks sort of like, you know, they're tears running down or blobs. It's either melting or it's, you know, it's blobbing down somehow. That's what I did. Make it look sort of like, you know, it's tearing down, it's crying down. That's essentially what I did with this. Okay. And then I you know, took my little blue guy. Let's go effect. Let's go effect or view fit artboard and window. Yeah, and then what I did here was I just came in with my ellipse tool and I made it red. And what I did was I just dragged out a few shapes like this that I kind of tried to make it look almost like drips, you know. And I just kept dragging these shapes out until I got something that looked like crying, a blobbing drip drop tear type thing. Yeah, that's right. And just keep dragging this thing out until I get something that sort of suggests, you know, teardrops, that kind of a deal. Tears, little pools, you know, they're just little pools of teardrops coming down. Cute, right? There you go. And that's about it. Okay. And then view, fit artboard and window, or view, fit all in window, I should say. Yeah. And then again, you know, I have to have my blue. So I take my blue and I think it's edit, paste. Nope. Edit. Let me do this. Edit, copy. Edit, paste. And now I can just drag that down to here. Find the center. There we go. And object, arrange, bring to front. And now this one probably needs to be just a tiny bit bigger. All right, just a bit bigger. But the bottom line is they keep asking you, you know, you got to have the center, the center of the character. And I don't know what happened here. Edit, paste. Man, what happened? Jeez. There we go. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, what's this doing here? How did that get there? I must have accidentally made a copy of that somehow. All right, anyway, there he is. That's my paste. I don't want that. All right, so come on. What is this stuff? What's going on here? There we go. All right, so that's what I did on this one. All right. For the love one, very simple. I found a heart, and I just made my little circle. So I come over here and I made my little circle. All right, made my little circle. So I got my circle over here. And as far as a heart is concerned, I mean, you could make a heart fairly easy. The best way to make a heart is actually to make a half a heart. So let me show you how to make a half a heart. and then turn it into a heart, okay? So I'd bring a guide out here. And what I would do is I would start off by getting my oval tool, and I would click and hold the shift key down, and I'd create a nice big loop, just like that, big circle, and sit it right in the middle. It's going to sit dead on. Well, actually, no, it's not going to sit in the middle. It's going to sit about like that, I guess. Yeah, because it's got to come down. The top of it's got to come down. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to create the bottom of the heart. So again, what you would do, take your, there they are. Take your pen tool, and you come over here. First of all, go Object, Lock, Selection. The reason I'm locking the selection is so I can't really interfere with it. Get my pen tool, come over here, and very carefully place my point right about there. And then I'd come to about here, and I would drag out shape like this, get it to about where I like it. Something like that's probably pretty good. And if you want to get fancy, you can click here and you can come over to the bottom and you can do a little bit of this doop-de-loop type of deal. And then click here and you have essentially the makings of a bottom of a heart. So what I would do then is with the same pen tool, I'd click on that anchor point right there, and then I'd come over to this line, and then I'd come down and click to close the shape. So now I have two pieces that are kind of together, okay? And I go Object, Unlock All. All right, so now I got those two pieces right there, and all I'm going to do is go to the window menu and go to Pathfinder, or you know what, let's do it another way. Let's do this another way. Let me get rid of this Pathfinder up here. Let me put the Pathfinder here. Here's another way you can do this, is you could use the Pathfinder tool. Where are you? The Shape Builder tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and I'm just going to drag through those shapes. And you see what I did? I made one shape. The Shape Builder tool, Control Z. There it is right there. Okay, you click with the Shape Builder tool, you just click, you got the tool, and see it shows you the areas. So I'm going to click, and what I'm doing is I'm dragging, and now I got all three of those shapes. So I got those three shapes. This is my heart. My heart is halfway done. So I'm going to come over here. There's a Rotate tool, and there's a Reflect tool. I'm going to choose the Reflect tool, and I'm going to double click it, come over here, and I'm going to hit Preview. And you see what it does? It reflects it. I'm going to hit the Copy button, and now I've made a copy. And just walk it over. The one that's on top, let me make sure I got it selected properly. The one that's on top, I'm going to start walking it over, and I can hold the Shift key down to make it go faster. I'm going to walk it over until it hits that center line, that guideline, right like that. Okay, I'm going to go View, Guides, Hide Guides, and there you see I got a heart. I actually got it. Now all I need to do is to take that, select them both, and I can either, once again, use the Shape Builder, the Pathfinder tools. I can use this to unite them like that, and it's now one piece, or Edit Undo, and I could again come over here and get my Shape Builder tool, and I can click and I can drag through my sections, and I now have my complete shape. So there's my heart. That's how I made my heart. Okay? Bring this back, and now the heart needs to rotate a little bit. Let's rotate my new heart back a little bit, like that. And let's make it a little bit smaller because it isn't the right size. Let's bring it down to about like this. See, that's still a little bit too small. Let's make it a little bit bigger, like about like that's good. And let's rotate it a little bit more, like about like that's pretty good. There. Now again, it doesn't have to be exact. You get the general idea. And what I did with this one, because I went from blue, because obviously blue is the color that we have to have in there. All right. And I think actually on this one originally I had yellow. No, it was blue. I'm sorry. Okay. So it's blue. This is going to end up red. Okay. Now, once again, what I want to do is I want to create a blend. So this is a 2-point blend, so I'll make sure both of these are selected. I'll go Object, and I'm going to go to Blend, and I'm going to go to Blend Options, Specified Steps, once again, and hit 2, OK, and then go Object, Blend, Make, and I get my hearts to do what they're doing, which, you know, they're not in exactly the right positioning, but there's a way to deal with that. Now, what you can do is, remember, you can come in here with your direct selection tool, and you can click on this, you know, and you can click and drag this and move it, all right? But that's not what I want to do. This is the other thing that you could do. Once you have this made, what you can do is you can go to the Object menu, and you can expand this. Now, expanding, what it's going to do is it's going to take, now these are 2 originals. This one I made, that one I made, these 2 the program made. They don't exist. They're kind of like fakes. They're sort of like symbols. That's sort of what they are. These are real. These are made by this blend process. But what I can do is I can expand them to make them into objects or fills. And I actually have both of them selected. And then I'm going to hit OK. And you see what happens is that line disappears. And now these are individual shapes. And I can take these individual shapes and I can move these individual shapes as I wish. See? Now I can take those and I can move them and I can turn them around and make them sit in nicer positions like that. And get it to where they look much better. I'll get the one over here. Whoops, they're all together. They're grouped. Okay, so again, what I'm going to do is get the group selection tool, click on the red one, bring the red one. So what I do is I got this guy so that it's doing this. It's kind of going in that direction. But there's my heart, and it's going from blue to red, and it's going from the circle to heart. So again, I'm working symbolically. I'm trying to come up with solutions for how I make this look like love, and I'm using shapes and I'm using techniques to do this that I'm showing you. I don't say that you have to do exactly what I did, but you know what? You can try it if you want, and you can submit it this way if you want, because that will show me at least that you're working with the program and you're trying these things that I'm showing you how to do. This is what's most important for me is that I teach you things, and I'm showing you this stuff. Now here is another thing. Take a look at this. If I select this guy, if I come over here with mine, select this guy, see there's the line. The line is still in it. If I go Object Expand, and I expand the object in the fill, I hit OK. Now they all become expanded objects. They're all individual objects. I can then click on this and go Object Ungroup, and if I hide that background layer, I can now start playing around with these objects to see whether I could get them looking better. See, and I'm actually just moving these objects around a little tiny bit to try to make them look a little bit better. See, and this is actually working out pretty good. I probably should come this way with this, should come this way with this a little bit, this way with this a little bit. There. Okay, now this can come up a little bit. 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 And that can come up a little bit. And that a little bit. And maybe that up a little bit. So, you know, I can just keep playing with these. That's really what it is until I get something that I really like. And the idea is that you're trying to show it, you know, sort of jumping for joy. Okay? Let's bring this back. And I got one more over here. Fear. This one's very simple. Basically, what I did with this was I created an area of black, rectangle. And I just made, now let me get, yeah, I'm on the right layer. Let me make myself an area of black, big area of black, right like that. Okay, and I just used my black. And then what I did was I came in and I made an ellipse this time. I chose to make an ellipse this time. Something in the neighborhood of this, like that. And in my opinion, I thought purple probably was the good color for this, all right? And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I even went into Object, Path, add anchor points. And I added a few anchor points. And maybe I even added more. Object, path, add anchor points. See, I don't exactly remember how I did this, but I'm going about this the way I think I did it. Went to the effect menu. I got distort and transform. I believe I went and did roughen again. And let's see if I choose preview. Let's see if I can make this thing. So details got to be low. Yeah, and the size got to be big. There we go. There we go. And I think it was even less than that. 3. Yeah, that was it. Maybe even 2. There you go. That's what I was doing, like that. And let's say maybe that's probably pretty good. So there's my shape. This is my basic shape. Hit OK. The only problem with this shape is it's not fat enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. I'm going to get my free transform tool. I'm just going to open that up and make it a deeper shape. That's much better. And even a little deeper would be good. There you go. Perfect. That's what I'm looking for. OK. I just wanted that kind of a shape. And again, it's supposed to purple, the combination of purple and this object in this kind of shape, sort of like, you know, like it's jumping out of fear if somebody surprised you. That's how I'm trying to play this one off. Then of course what we need to do is we need to come over here and let's go edit, paste in place. There we go. And I got my little blue circle, and I'm going to take my blue circle, put my blue circle right in the middle of this guy. And there's my blue circle. I've managed to, you know, do everything I was told to do as far as getting my shapes in there. Okay. And then of course, to make this thing a little bit more fun, what I did was I came in here and I created another little round shape, tiny little round shape, sort of like that, real small. Okay. And I moved it up a little bit. I didn't want to get too close to it. I made it red. And then edit, copy, edit, paste in place. And I carefully just clicked and dragged that over to about there. And then I'm going to hold down the shift key. I'm going to select those two, and I'm going to go object group. So I group those two little eyes. Then I'm going to click on this and click on this. And before I do this, I'm going to go to my align palette, go to window, align. And I'm going to align them and align them. There we go. And then I'm going to go object group. Now what I'm going to do is take these two objects together and I'm going to align them. There we go. Perfect. So these eyeballs, and they look to me actually visually a little off, so I'm going to have to move them over a little bit to get them where I think visually they look better. They look better there. Okay, so the object with this is, why is this object scared? Because something back there is looking at it. That's the whole idea with this one. So those are the 5 that I did, and ultimately what I would like you guys to be doing is trying your hand at some of the stuff that I did. But again, you know, think of how you can take simple shapes and make them tell the story. And also tell me in our discussion, tell me what you think my solutions were for you. Were they winners or failures? Did they work? Did they not work? How did they work? How did they not work? I mean, I'm open to hear what you have to say. As a matter of fact, I look forward to hearing what you have to say, because that's what a discussion is all about. And that's basically what we're going to be doing for our discussion. So let's go back to our topics here. And let me go to the assignments. Okay, so I got enough time to explain the assignments, and then I'll be doing some work on them tomorrow night. So week 2 assignment, here it is, week 2 assignment. So what we're gonna do is, there are a number of popular Illustrator styles. One of them is an excellent bridge from 2D work to gradient message and photorealism. Look at the image created in Illustrator below. Okay. There are some gradient usage, but there are also the use of shapes with slightly different tones to suggest depth and shadow. There's a close-up of her hand and part of her desk. Let's go back and see what they're talking about. Talking about that. Okay. As you can see, the thumb and fingers are distinguished by a slightly darker brown, suggesting shadow of the desk to the paper and all blah, 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 blah. Okay, so instructions and requirement. Take a close-up of your face. It can be yourself, a friend, or family member. Actually, to be totally honest with you, you can get yourself a really nice photo of anything. I don't really care. I would much rather you take a picture of somebody or something that you find interesting if it's going to inspire you to work harder on this. That's what I'm looking for. So pick something that you're going to enjoy and really look forward to working on. And the other thing, if you go back to what they're saying here, I mean, they're talking about there are a number of popular styles. There's your style. The bottom line is you're trying to develop your style. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to learn how to use this program to do as many different things as you possibly can. One of the things that you're going to be trying to get this program to do for you is to act as your new pencils and pens and brushes to create art with. That's what this is. And this actually creates some pretty darn good art. And before we get done tonight, I'm going to show you a few of the pieces that I did, and I'll give you an idea what I'll be working on tomorrow night to show you how to go into this. So basically, use Illustrator to create a portrait using only layered colors and shapes. Think about how to create different colors within your shadow areas to give your face depth and dimension. Make the two simple shapes first, your hair and your face. Hide those layers as you create new shapes to show key areas of your of shadow. This is important that you really listen to what they're saying here. Use layers. That's the important thing. Use layers. I sometimes don't use layers because I've been working now for over 9 years on this program, and I pretty much know how to handle it. But I try to remember to use layers more now because I'm an instructor, and it's always better to have layers, because then you can really explain layers and how layers factor into this whole thing by having them there. I got 2 pictures that I'm going to show you before we end tonight that I didn't use layers on, and I should have, because they're very complex images. But they're very much like what we're doing here, okay? So again, make 2 simple shapes, your hair, your face, and then what you're going to do is you're going to build detail. And I'm going to show you how I did it. You're going to end up submitting the final project as an Illustrator native file. There's something that you should know. And let me just go into the mood for 1 second. And let me see what I got here. Kimberly. Yeah, okay, here. Kimberly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go File, Save As. Okay? And I'm in her folder, or in my week 2 folder. See where it says Adobe PDF? Let me show you something that I don't think, well, maybe you know, maybe you don't know. Adobe PDF, okay? And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to hit Save. Now, I get the Adobe PDF dialog box. This is something that you must know about. This is very important for you. See where it says Options? See where it says Preserve Illustrator Editing Capabilities? Well, the bottom line is that if you have that checked, then this PDF is really only a slight bit away from being an Illustrator file. And it would be easy for somebody like myself to actually go in and transfer it right back to an Illustrator file by just going File, Save As, and saving it as a .ai file. And I more or less have an original Illustrator file. So that's something that you should know about. If I don't want that to happen, I can click that and watch what it says. Based on Illustrator default, these are the default settings when saving an Illustrator file as an Adobe PDF document. Use these settings when you plan on editing the file again in Illustrator, or when you need to place it in a layout application such as InDesign, or when the final use of the file is unknown. This is the Preserve Illustrator, okay? If you take that off, what's happening basically, and it's, for some reason it's not changing, when you take this off, when you eliminate the Preserve Illustrator editing capabilities, if I were to open this back up in the Illustrator, I would not be able to edit it. It would be more or less like one piece, uneditable. So that's a very important thing to know. Click on this, and then you save your PDF and send it to me. I can open the thing up again. Okay? Very important that you know that. All right? So let's go back to the assignment. So what you're going to do, you're going to be building yourself your face, okay, or whatever your picture is. And I'm going to show you before I leave. Let's go into the assessment. Go back to assignments. Let's go to the assessment because I want you to see quickly what the assessment is. I want to explain it to you. So assessment, week 3 assessment. Here we go. Okay, so in the assessment, before you can map out your artwork into the DVD box, week 3 assessment. Oh, wrong one, sorry. Jeez, hit the wrong one. Week 2 assessment. Week 2 assessment, there it is. Sorry, my fault, hit the wrong one. All right, for this assessment, take the project you created, the portrait, go back into it, and use blending options to smooth out the look. Either blending options or use gradients or different color shapes, build different color shapes. Try different blending options to find the style that works well for your image and personal taste. The final project should be submitted in Illustrator format. Again, like I told you, you could probably submit it as a PDF file, provided that you make sure that the preserved editing capabilities are in there. So what you're going to do is you're going to continue to refine your piece. Okay, so I've got a few minutes left. What I want to do is I just want to come in here and I want to show you what I'm going to be working on with you tomorrow night. Here's my tiger. Now, what I am going to show you is this is my project. If I were going to do this project, I would do something like this, where I would find the face of a tiger. And there's my picture. You can see I actually got a picture. And the reason I did this is because, number one, I knew if I did this, I'd stay interested in it, and I'd have a lot of fun doing it, and I'd work harder at it. So that's why I chose the tiger over a picture of myself, because I wouldn't have any fun doing that. And I had a lot of fun doing this. So that's my tiger, and tomorrow night, I'm not telling you a lot more about it than that because I haven't got the time tonight, and tomorrow we're going to go through all this stuff. But I also very quickly wanted to show you that tomorrow night we'll talk about the witch. There's my witch. This came from an actual photograph of Margaret Hamilton as the Wicked Witch of the West. And what I did was I drew her, and this is very much the kind of thing that they're asking you to do, only with your own portrait. And I say you don't have to use your own portrait. You could find some interesting picture to do. And here's, by the way, the Tin Man. I actually did the Tin Man as well. And if you remember last week, I put the Scarecrow. I also did the Scarecrow. So these are 3 characters that I created using the same techniques that you are being asked to use for your project. The only reason I'm showing you this is because I wanted to impress on you that once you get to the point where you're comfortable with Adobe Illustrator and you know what you're doing, there's amazing things that you're going to be able to do. I think you're going to start amazing yourself on a regular basis. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for you to be able to amaze yourself that way. This program can do amazing things, but you have to be the one that's driving the car. In other words, the car doesn't drive itself. You drive it. And that's what this is with Illustrator. You have to learn, and you have to try, and you have to think, and you have to experiment, and you have to fail. I fail all the time. Even when I'm doing these lessons, I bump into things that are unexpected, that don't go right, and I have to figure out on the fly what happened, why didn't it go right. That's how this program is. But the more you do it, the more it becomes reliable for you. And that's what's the most important thing. So we will be talking about this stuff more tomorrow night. Matter of fact, tomorrow night will be all about this, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. It's, I think, a lot of fun because you'll see me playing around with the tiger quite a bit more. I'm actually going to bring in the one that I'm working on, and I'm going to work on it a little bit, and then basically I'll get into explaining why this tiger's there's only half of this tiger showing. So I got a lot of things I'm going to tell you about tomorrow night. So that's it for tonight. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night. Have a good night. I will try to get this in for you quickly tonight. Thank you, and see you tomorrow.